The entire human race is globally connected with some basic physiological features and health concerns that transcend global boundaries. After respiration, eating is the second most widely shared practice that affects our vital signs and nutrition and health. And that's why today's idea is about health. Food is a sensory delight for the gut and for the brain at the same time. Despite being more conscious about calories and zero figure, we all are trapped into the poor health loop. I'm sure you all prioritize your health, aren't you? But I have a question to ask. Do you read before you eat? Have you ever read before you eat? I don't mean reading the menu card. I mean reading the label of the thing that you are consuming. Have you ever deliberately choose a food because the label says natural ingredients inside, no artificial sweeteners there, some natural sweeteners there, or no MSG? If it sounds like you are listening the right person. So maybe among hunger pangs, you don't always remember to read the label. But years before, there was a young lady obsessed with reading. One fine evening, she went to a branded food court to satisfy her pregnancy cravings. While eating, she did what she always did. She read the nearest thing available, and that was a label on a food packet she bought. While waiting for the drink, she noticed that the label has a warning on outside. She was surprised to read that the label mentioned that this food item contains MSG, and it is inappropriate for consumption for females who are breastfeeding, pregnant, or infant babies. That one moment, that one sentence started a journey of observation. Observations about labeling, observations about research outcomes, about the market-related strategies that govern the food choices and food preferences for the mass population. Monosodium glutamate and artificial sweeteners are some of the molecules she noticed on the top. Monosodium glutamate is also called Chinese salt or Ajinomoto. It is a ubiquitous flavor enhancer used in food industry worldwide. It gives you a specific type of taste. Maybe you heard about it. That's umami. Umami, the fifth taste. It is entirely different from the sweet, salty, or bitter taste. Sweet, salty, and bitter taste are a little different from umami, and that's what keeps umami very special. And when it is added to some food, we crave for it because our body likes it a lot and our brain prefers it a lot. As it's not a foreign chemical, glutamate is something that is also produced inside the body. So that's why we sometimes consider it as a natural ingredient. But the irony is that if the concentration in circulation exceeds, the body cannot differentiate between the outside source glutamate and from the inside generated glutamate. Glutamate is also excitatory neurotransmitter in vertebrate system that is capable to excite the neurons and make them happy and excited and high energy. The high concentration of excitotoxicity neurotransmitter can overexcite neurons, leading to a condition called excitotoxicity, in which excessive stimulation of neurons can lead to nerve damage. Of course, nobody can always be happy for a long time. So if neuron gets excited for a long time, they get exhausted. Numerous research studies are available, those demonstrating the adverse effect of monosodium glutamate consumption at various diseases and health concerns. But in contrast, many other studies are also available who report no side effect, and they recommend that MSG is absolutely safe to consume. If you look into the PubMed Biomedical Data Bank, you will easily find n number of studies and their contradictions available there. Some of the studies connect the monosodium glutamate intake with low antioxidants level, nerve damage, metabolic syndrome progression, headaches, discomforts, obesity, and so on. On the other hand, however, some studies don't report anything at all, and that creates a lot of ambiguity. One thing is for sure in this case, that MSG has some potential. Otherwise, why would everybody is using it for so long despite of being so conscious? It suggests that MSG, if it is present in some food item, it should be clearly labeled on outside the food, so that the consumer can choose whether they wish to consume it or not. However, sometimes it is labeled as natural ingredient, sometimes with some number like E621, sometimes with some other ambiguous names. MSG is not the only one in the industry. It is merely one example, a symbol of a much larger and wider issue, that how science, commerce, and consumer awareness intervene to shape what we are consuming today, without our conscious consent at all. Now let's go back to the question that I asked you at the very first phase. Do you ever consume sugar-free substitutes as an alternative to natural sugar? If you can't remember the answer, let me give you some options. Maybe in the Diet Coke, maybe in the Diet Soda as a natural alternative to the natural sugar, maybe in something for weight management, maybe in protein shakes, maybe in sugar-free medicines. And the list goes on and beyond your imagination. And I'm sure you have taken it one another way. While every posh restaurant has a sugar-free option available at the table without any warning and notice, have you ever taken the time to read the label? To find out what actually gives the sweet taste? Where does it come from? And what does it mean? What it is doing to our health? Terms like natural and no added sugar and zero sugar actually misleads consumers into believing that a product is really good and healthy, and they are opting a very healthy choice. As an option, they choose alternative sweeteners and so on, different sites of chemical and they shift to non-nutritive sweetener instead of the real sugar that is very easy to get metabolized into the body. So now a new question arises. Do we really have some authorities to regulate it all? Yes. Not one, not two, but many, and globally. So we have agencies that define the acceptable daily intake of all these chemicals, also known as ADI, which is very specific to every chemical substance we are consuming. They do have frameworks, regulatory data to protect us from the toxicity. They do have published regulatory frameworks as well as the research mandates, and they enforce the mandate to ensure the transparent labeling. But still it is not possible to keep us away from the risk of the exposure. These chemicals and flavor enhancers do of course have an ADI, But is it solely determined, the consumption and the after effects? No. The reason lies not in the failure of law, but in the gap of consumer awareness. We can only manage what we understand. We can only control what we know about. So unless we know how much of these substances we are literally getting exposed day by day from multiple daily sources and recognize the different ambiguous names that are there, concealed and hidden on the labels, how can we choose the right thing? You may have noticed that the information on the label is often very small, hard to read, and the front, and they are not in the front of the foodstuff, they are at the back side of the foodstuff, which is less likely to be seen by an average consumer, an average shopper. However, people are avoiding it unintentionally, we are getting affected out of it. However, the illusion doesn't only stays with the labeling itself. Take food colors for instance. Many food items from sweets to drinks, they contain artificial colors that are not well documented on the ingredient list. These synthetic additives often make food look fresh, but it may not be fresh. And it is a matter of concern. These things are associated with something very basic, as simple as paneer that we are consuming today. The type of organic paneer that has made by our ancestors, it's not like the same that we are consuming nowadays. The organic paneer we bought is actually not organic many times and we don't know about it. It is sometimes produced by high-fat vegetable oils to mimic the taste and texture of the real dairy. It's an intelligent effort of marketing. It looks nutritionally and biologically similar, but it is not. It is entirely different thing that we consuming, and we should consume to keep ourselves healthy. And here is the matter of concern arises at multiple fronts for the entire globe. In evolutionary biology, there was a concept. It's a very well-established theory. The principle of natural selection. I love this theory. This theory states and supports the idea, the survival of fittest. It states like it's not the fastest, not the strongest, not the wealthiest, not the most beautiful person, but the most adaptable will thrive. Of course, Darwin couldn't imagine this world in which we are looking into and living into. But we don't hunt nowadays for survival in the jungles. But we do exist in the age of AI. We do exist in the age of consumerism. We do exist in the age of marketing and misinformation that can take over every intelligent step and can create smoke screens and illusions that can cover our intelligent mind. The real change begins with mindful refusal and making emotionally intelligent choices. This talk isn't mean to target any particular chemical or substance, but it is to inspire the generations and the globe and the people and the civilization to shape the future of our health, our choice, and our collective well-being. So, read before you eat, get aware, be vigilant, not just about calories, but about every single chemical that is hidden in your food, in your plate. Beware of the crafted illusions to escape from the deceptive brilliance of modern marketing. And most importantly, Share this awareness with the people you care about. Because I truly believe science is not meant to frighten. It is meant to enlighten. If you are wondering what difference your single effort can make to the society's well-being, it's time to realize that a little spark can create a ripple of changes. Believe me, it is the same spark which brought that young lady standing before you, sharing an idea that holds the power to transform the world. Thank you.